Hello everyone, and sir, my name is Loputro Utami, and in this video I would like to give you a short overview about how to make material development for ESP or English for Specific Purposes. Material development is a typical feature of ESP or English for Specific Purposes courses, mainly because of the attempt of the over teaching material which fit specific subject area and specific needs of a certain group of students. Basturkman and Bocanegra Valley in 2018 remind that many SP teachers are frequently directly involved in designing teaching materials as published course book and other material tend not to be relevant to specific needs of their specialized group of learners. However, studies of how ESP teachers develop such material have been scarce, and the material developed locally by a particular teacher or group teacher for a particular courses, a particular group of students, and with the resources available at a particular time are referred to as in-house material, tailor-made materials, locally produced materials, self-designed material, internal material, homemade material, or homegrown material. These materials are maybe developed either from scratch or adapting existing learning and academic materials. According to Tomlinson in 1998, the following main beliefs and principles outline the basic framework for material development. Is the first one: material writing is most effective when it is based on thorough understanding of the needs of a particular group of students when their specific language difficulties, learning objective, and preferred learning styles. A process of material writing which takes into consideration all these variables is learner-centered. The second one is the teacher is know and understanding their student best. By becoming sensitive and responsive to their student needs, objective, difficulties, and preferred learning styles, teachers simultaneously become materials writers and researchers. The third one is the teacher need a grounding such as a basic knowledge or training in material writing. Learning how to effectively write the teaching materials should be an inseparable part of every teacher's training process. The process of writing materials is in fact teaches one to develop criteria for evaluating materials produced by others. By learning to create materials, teachers reduce their dependency on published material and develop professionally. The next one is that all the teachers teaches themselves. When no choice is provided, there are cases when teachers have to teach against the grain. Producing effective materials minimizes the chance of teachers being forced to teach using a methodology that contradicts their personal teaching philosophy. And the last one is that trialing and evaluation are vital to the success of any materials. Since learners are users of the materials, their opinion is very important and their feedback should always be welcome. This is easy to implement this practice when the teacher uses his or her own material, whereas with printed material, usually there are trials in which teachers rather than learners provide the feedback. Hutchinson and Waters in 1987 list the following main principle that needs to be observed in materials writing. Materials should provide a stimulus to learning since good materials do not teach. They encourage learners to learn. As a result, good materials should contain interesting texts, enjoyable activities which engage the learner thinking capacities, opportunities for learners to use their existing knowledge and skills, content with both learner and teachers can cope with. Materials should offer a clear and coherent unit structure which helps to organize the learning or teaching process by assisting teachers in planning with the lesson and offer students a sense of progression. When fulfilling this role, materials should be clear and systematic. However, they should not be too flexible so as not to allow flexibility, variety, and creativity. Materials should reflect the view of language learning and held by the author. Materials should be able to introduce teachers to the new teaching techniques and thus broaden their teacher training. And the last one, materials should represent models of correct and appropriate language use, which is their necessary function. However, Hutchinson and Waters in 1987 warned that it is all too often taken as the only purpose, with the result that materials become simply a statement of a language use rather than a vehicle for language learning. According to the most ESP course scenario, in the case of available teaching materials, those materials are evaluated and if considered suitable for the specific English for specific purposes course, they are selected, implemented, and afterwards reviewed. Tomlinson in 1998 summarizes the process of the material writing in the following 5 steps of sequence. The first one is identification of a need to fulfill a problem to solve by creation of the materials. Exploration of the area of the need or the problem in terms of what language, what meanings, what function, what skills, and etc. Contextual realization of the proposed new materials by the finding of suitable ideas, contexts, or texts with which to work. The next one is pedagogical realization of materials by the finding of the appropriate exercises and activities and the writing of appropriate instruction for use. And the last one, physical production of materials, involving the consideration of layout, type, size, visual reproduction, tape length, and etc. According to Hutchinson and Waters in 1987, material design should start by determining their purpose or asking the question what the materials are supposed to do. The model of ESP materials design, the over consists of 4 elements. The first one is the input can be any piece of communication data such as text, video, dialogue, and it is relevant to the needs identified, which provides the stimulus materials for the activities, new language items, correct models of language use, topic of communication, opportunities for learners to use their information processing skill, and their existing knowledge of language and subject matter. The second focus on the reminds that the student should not be considered as an end in itself, but as means of conveying information. The non-linguistic content should generate communication in the classroom. The language focus gives students a chance to take up a language part, study it carefully, and put it back together. The aim is to enable students to use the foreign language they are learning in communicative tasks for which they have the necessary language knowledge. And the last one, the task should be communicative and give students a chance to use the content and the language knowledge they have built. As was already mentioned, the ultimate purpose of language learning is the language use. And for the conclusion, preparatory stages of the process of material development would include assessment of the students' needs and priorities, identification of language elements and pedagogical approaches, selection of activities to be used, piloting and or evaluating the draft version. Well, thank you so much for your attention and have a nice day.